Growing up, I only had one dream in life, and that dream was to fly. When I was about 5 or 6, I shared my dream with anyone with an ear. People of the playground, someday I am going to fly. Their laughter, almost instant. My heart so very distant from my body. And then someone approached my heartless remains and said, "I'm sorry, little boy, but blackbirds don't fly." I was shocked, heartbroken. I didn't believe the words that were spoken. But locked in my memories, they were. I was a blackbird, and my flight plans were canceled. Sadly, this was a recurring theme, because in my neighborhood, any blackbird with a dream that didn't involve spitting rhymes or looking down the end of a gun seam was just wrong. Because otherwise, no one wanted to hear the blackbird song. Maybe I was wrong. We all have dreams that are just impossibilities in disguise. Maybe I was just never meant to rise. So I returned home that day with tears running down my face and dreams I just happened to misplace. My uncle was home and he looked terrified. The look on his face verified that my wings were displaced. "What happened?" he asked me with fear in his eye. "I'm sorry, dear uncle, but blackbirds, they just don't fly." He looked at me, having been there before. He looked me square in my tears and asked, "But why?" I was taken aback. Surely he would know why. "Uncle, black feathers, they are never meant to touch the sky." "Oh, no. I understand you," he said. "But why?" At either 5 or 6, I was a bit too young to fathom the answer to that question. I mean, whatever lies you hear in the playground had to be true. Right? You must ask these questions if you really want to fly. But until then, my nephew, you will never be above the sky. So let's fast forward to many years later when I was almost a man, but not quite. I had abandoned all plans to be a flight above the rest, but I still tried my best. So one day I had a job interview. The interviewer? A big white bird with feathers that must have seen the sky again and again and again. I mean, the interview looked like it was going well. I had the experience, I had the education, but it all ended when he opened his big beak and said, "I'm sorry, young man, but blackbirds don't fly." I was overcome with emotion, feelings I haven't felt since a playground so many years ago. I clenched my heart before it floated away, before it was rightfully displaced. But then I remembered my uncle's face. So I asked, "But why?" The interviewer was taken aback, offended even. "Young man, I'm sorry, but blackbirds just don't fly." So then my reply, "You, sir, are an idiot. You, sir, will never know the beauty of a blackbird. How their wings will span wider than you will ever know. Float higher than your overinflated ego will ever go." I could see your face turning red. Does my sassiness upset you? Good, now pay attention. One day, I'll have children. When they're much older and wise, and they'll come home from school one day with tears running from their eyes. They'll tell me about people like you and their unforsaken lies. Then they'll look at me and say, "Daddy, we're just blackbirds. Are we never meant to fly?" And then I'll say, "No, my little blackbirds. Not only are we meant to fly, we're meant to rise and rise to the point above the sky. Miles away from people who think their privileged wings will soar with more grace. Even further away from people who think they're part of a superior race. Even further away from people who ever made you cry. But to get there, my little blackbirds, you just have to ask yourselves, why?" As you probably guessed, I didn't get the job that I was interviewing for that day. But it didn't matter because that day, I learned how to fly.